Hey, SITC fam. If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on any podcast platform. Leave us a review wherever you can. And don't forget to subscribe to LL Giselle on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and find us on Facebook at Sonographers in the Cities.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Sonographers in the Cities. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Giselle.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you like the previous episode, and this episode will be very interesting.
Yeah, last episode was even more interesting than today,
Yes,
I'm saying,
last
because
episode was one of our biggest episodes, just because it was a milestone of ours, right?
we were in person. So
Yes.
if you guys haven't seen that one yet, go check it out. We did do one episode in person. So go check it out. But today is going to be a great episode too.
Yes, it's a very, very popular topic that's commonly discussed amongst prospective students, current students, current sonographers. Just a very, very common topic that's brought up when we mention sonography or ultrasound.
One of you guys had listened to one of our past episodes and had asked us to do an episode on which sonographer gets paid the most or has like the highest paying salary, etc., etc. So we're talking about money here, y'all.
The big topic.
And
And sorry, what was you gonna
what
say?
were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say it's the most common reason that I've heard. I don't know about you, but the most common reason I've heard of people going into ultrasound or sonography.
Oh, and I was gonna say that it's kind of like a controversial topic.
It is also a controversial topic.
And if you guys are in those Facebook groups that we tell you guys to go look into and whatnot, some people are very transparent with their pay and some people don't want to share their pay. And at the end of the day, it kind of depends on where you work. Even as you're a student, you're not really fighting, but you're competing against your classmate to get a job.
Right.
So it's like, do you talk about your pay or do you not talk about your pay? We talk about pay transparency, and then different places are trying to get you to work for them, but then you want to make sure you're getting paid for what you're doing. I don't know. I just feel like it's not taboo, but it's like a topic that no one likes to talk about. But then everyone asks about it, so it's kind of like what?
That's true. I mean, I think with pay and compensation in general, it is a topic in like other careers as well. It's like a topic that either, you get someone who's very transparent because they want, they don't care. It is what it is. And you get others who's like rather not share
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But for me, like for my class, for my students, I often ask before the beginning of the semesters, or if they're new, I usually ask like, why you choose ultrasound? What's your reason for being here? That's why I said, in my perspective, the most common reason is the pay, because most of my students are, career changers, second careers. They Googled what's the high paying, low stress healthcare jobs, that misconception that we've discussed before. And that's why I'm so glad we're having this episode on this topic. And I was gonna say something, then lost track of thought with the pay.
You ask them and then
Yes,
they
I asked
say,
them about the pay. No, there was something else.
oh,
It'll come back to me, but
yeah.
that's the gist of it.
I mean, that makes sense. When you talk about people going into healthcare, that's probably one of the top things that they think about is the pay, especially when they go into becoming a nurse or a doctor.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, a majority of people want to help other people, but also at the same time, if you can make good money doing it, why not?
Right.
And when you look up sonographers and how much does this diagnostic medical sonographer make, I have this money.usnews.com, which says essentially the median is about 81,350. The lower end, 25 percentile, it's like 68,580, and the upper end, 75 percentile, 97,350. So if you're talking about something that can get you from between 60K and 100K, and then they promote us online as one of the least stressful jobs in healthcare, then yeah, I feel like a lot of people are going to want to do this. But as you see on this website, you guys could do all your research and whatnot, but the growth in the years since 2010, our salary has gone up and up and up. So you can only imagine it's going to keep going up. But because one of you guys had asked us, who makes the most, for those of you who aren't in sonography or ultrasound, kind of like, what do you mean by that? There's all different types of sonographers and ultrasound technologists, or jobs that include having a sonography degree or certificate, I guess you could say. And there's vascular, general, cardiovascular, cardiac, OBGYN. There's all different types of sonographers. And so today we were going to just talk about these different types of sonographers and essentially how much the internet says they get paid, because Lynn and I do what we do, and we're two different types of sonographers, and then we both get paid differently. But what we were discussing before we got onto this episode was that truly depends on where you live and the type of person you are, because you can have one or two or three jobs and make way more money than somebody who does one job where the internet says that you can make X amount of money. Let's say the internet says you can make all this money being a cardiac sonographer, but I'm a general sonographer. I don't do cardiac, but what if I made more than somebody who was in that cardiac sphere, right? So that's what Lynn and I were talking about before we hopped on.
Right.
But yeah, it's an interesting topic, the money thing.
It's an ongoing topic too, it's not a closed discussion because, it's always changing and our pay is always, it's gonna keep increasing because of how the economy is. And, our job is just gonna keep being stressful.
Yeah, it's gonna keep being stressful.
Which specialty in sonography pays the most? Because I'm sure
Well,
that's the question when, you're researching into which concentration, which specialty you want to go into.
according to ZipRecruiter, which
Mhm.
is what I've looked up, that shows us kind of like a range of the types of sonographers and what they make. And then there's also the average salary by state. So we're just going to kind of tell you guys that obviously it all depends on where you live and how many jobs you have, because you can work one, two, three jobs. You can have contracts, you can have a business. It's all just dependent on you as a person. But if you wanted to become a sonographer, it says we're going to start from the very bottom on here. It says that just a diagnostic medical sonographer, which is a general sonographer, can obviously make anywhere from between 60 to 90K per year. And I'd say
That's
that,
also a wide range.
yeah, it is a wide range, really. You can make that much being in OBGYN and a hospital.
You can also make that much being in cardiac sonographer and vascular.
Yeah, cardiac and vascular. So it really is just a general statement. Like being a
Right.
general sonographer, you can make a good amount of money, honestly, for what we have to do to become a sonographer, because there's either the 2 year associates or the 4 year bachelor's. If you already have a bachelor's, you could do a certificate program. That's not so bad when you only take 2 to 4 years to do something.
Right.
The next above that, it says ultrasound supervisor. I mean, if you're a supervisor, you'll probably make more, but sometimes it just depends on where you work, to be honest. So, any thoughts on being a supervisor?
Me,
Mm-hmm.
eventually, if I go full time, but at this point, I don't see it in the near future.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, behind the scenes type of stuff.
Yeah.
Even though the internet says this, sometimes supervisors don't make as much as a normal sonographer because of certain things. Like you could be a supervisor, but that doesn't mean you're making more than the sonographers underneath you. So that's just something you have to look into. Would you rather be a supervisor and make less money, or would you rather be a regular sonographer and make more money? That's something to look into.
Yeah,
Um,
that's also part of like, the company that you work for and their policy and all that stuff. Just a little
yeah,
details in
yeah. So
employers.
something to think about. Just because
Yeah,
if you really feel like you want to be a supervisor, you have to see how much they're offering you, right? If and remember, supervisors are usually not part of the union, so they could get cut off at any time.
right.
But a union, that's a whole nother story. I could dibble dabble on that later on.
Right. Yeah, that's another story. We don't
Um,
need to go on that tangent. That's another episode.
yeah, another episode. And then after supervisor, we've got cardiac sonographer, which it seems like they can make a little bit more than a general sonographer. It looks like their salary range, it says, can be anywhere from 65,000 to 103,000 per year. So it's
Again, wide
going up.
range.
Yeah, it's going up,
Yeah.
but it's still, you could still be on the low end being a cardiac sonographer. And a cardiac sonographer can also be a cardiovascular sonographer, whereas you do the heart and vascular. So who knows, maybe you could make a little bit more doing both. I mean, Lynn could give more insight in that because she's a cardiovascular sonographer.
I would say you make a little bit more than doing both is dependent on your employer. If your employer pays you on how many registry you're registered in, if that's redundant. But some places they don't because you only do one specialty and you're credentialed in it. That's what they pay you for. They don't pay for the extra credential that you have. And other places, they value you more, or it's just their policy. And however many credentials you have, they will pay you according to your how many credentials you have and how many years of experience. So that's another thing into pay as well, is the years of experience.
Yes. Next, it says vascular sonographer.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the salary ranges from 70,000 to 127,000. And I personally think that the reason why they're doing that and putting it above a cardiac sonographer is probably because you can work with vascular surgeons and in
Yes.
vascular labs, things like
So
that.
it's more of procedural like cath labs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Again, depending on where you work.
Yes, everything's always dependent. Same
Yes.
with the echocardiographer, which is literally the same thing as registered cardiac sonographer. So it may sound confusing, but there really is only the three types of sonographers. There's the general, the vascular, and the cardiac. If I were to sit here from all this information that the internet is giving us, I'd
Mm-hmm.
say the highest it's telling us is the cardiac sonographer. Like it's saying, okay, general, then vascular, then cardiac, like from lowest to highest ability to
Yeah.
be paid. And I also think cardiac slash echo, it's essentially the same thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
that they can get paid the most is because they work directly in doctors' offices and you can correlate your pay with how many exams you're doing and the doctor's office that you're in. You could be a business owner and you can also attract more pay that way as a cardiac sonographer. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree with you because most cardiac sonography positions are outpatient, and for inpatient it's very, you know I wouldn't say like secluded, but it's very specific. If you specifically want to be inpatient, then you have those those options of hospitals. But for outpatients, you have private practice, you have outpatient clinics with hospitals, you have a variety of options. So they are higher pay, but it's also dependent again where you work, where you live, and maybe your lifestyle.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm looking at these ranges and for the cardiac surgeries, like they go up to 141,000 per year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
And that also, experience comes into play too. So,
yeah. Like these numbers sound big and grand in the
mm-hmm.
scheme of things, only because we're talking about the highest that somebody out there is making. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean everyone is making that. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go over to the average salary by state. And everything that I've been doing with research wise has said the top paying states are typically like Washington, New York, Vermont, California, and Massachusetts. So those are the top five paying states. And Lynn's over there in New York slash the New York greater area, Connecticut area. So, I mean, do you feel like on your research that sounds okay to you?
I think it's pretty accurate for, working, but this is not accurate for starting out.
Yes,
This is
I
more
agree.
for like if you're like mid career, like
Career.
5 to 10 years in,
Yeah,
but this is not accurate for starting out.
yeah. That's a good way to put it, actually. Because when you start out, you don't really get the best of the best. And if you do,
No,
you're lucky.
right.
Let's talk about the bottom five.
Let's see the bottom five.
Bottom
Oh,
five would be Michigan, Kentucky, West Virginia, Arkansas, and Florida is at the bottom.
we should also take note into, the states, what their
Cost of
of
living.
like yeah, the cost of living and their what's that word? Like, rural, urban and stuff.
Mm,
What Arkansas? I've never been to Arkansas, but I'm pretty sure that it's not as densely populated like New York and California.
right. Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That is true.
yeah, you have to take that into consideration too. Because then if you're there and you're working, you would have most likely a wide range of space to cover.
That's true.
I don't know.
I think another episode we should talk about is like kind of how you can work in each city, like the way you work as a sonographer, because there's
Hmm.
different ways to work. So if you guys are looking forward to future episodes, please subscribe and uh follow us
Follow us.
because that's a good topic. I mean, if you look at Florida, for example, like
Hmm.
70, it says 71,000, and that's the annual salary. That's not bad considering we're looking at this general wide range could be
Hmm.
60,000. So it's still above the lower end, 71,000.
Right.
And you have the capability of working in multiple places and multiple jobs. Uh, but that's also dependent on a person. I've seen some people on Instagram who have three, four jobs. Do,
Hmm.
do you want to have three, four jobs? Or do you want to have one? It's all based upon you. Um, the other job that could make pretty good money in ultrasound is called an ultrasound application specialist. Have you ever heard of one of those?
I have.
Yeah. And they can make for sure over six figures. And I have done extensive research on this job because I was considering doing it. And
Mhm.
you can even do this job after being in the field for a few years. I've seen people who've been sonographers for 2 years and go into this job. So if you're curious, that's a good paying job to be in as a sonographer if you are able to travel. So there's something you guys could look into.
Yeah. Pros and cons.
Mm-hmm. Just like any other job. But that's kind of the gist of salary in our career. And I'm over in Vegas. We're kind of like in the middle. And I would agree because it says Vegas, like on the higher end scale, annual salary, probably about 91,000. So
Mm,
I would agree.
what would you say?
But the thing
But
is,
it is for like you being like mid-level, right? Not
yeah, like
start.
I've been doing this for now 7 years, and I have worked at pretty much a lot of the places out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, let's just say healthcare is all dependent on where you work. And if you work in a hospital, outpatient, if you work for a doctor's office, you can make more than that or less than that. So, yeah, it's just how you are as a person and the opportunities that you can get in this field. But if you're interested in becoming a sonographer and making this good money, just know that yes, it's a stressful job. And yes, it's stressful getting to this career in general, like school, for example, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. It's
And
not easy.
yeah, I don't know why people on the internet say it's the least stressful job.
I don't understand either. I I would like to know how that came about.
Yeah, I'm just always so curious, but it's a great field to be in regardless.
Yes, regardless of the stress.
Mm. And if I could have had something to help me when I was a student, oh, I would have used it. Wouldn't you have?
Oh yeah, I would use it every day.
Every day. What is it?
Every No, not every day. I would use every clinical days.
Oh, you would? Yeah.
Because, being in clinicals, you're like stressed and you're trying to learn everything and trying to absorb everything. And you need that focus and you need to be productive. But some days you just don't want to.
I know. Some days you don't want to. And even now, as a sonographer, I feel like there are some days where I just don't want to be at work.
I feel that.
Yeah, but now we have something to help us out with all of this stuff today, which I wish I had back then when I was in school.
Right, me too. And that was 2 years ago.
For you, it was 2 years ago. For me, it was 7 years ago. Oh my
Right.
goodness. We have these little bottles of magic. It's called Magic Mind.
Yeah, and it is creating. I was thinking of creating magic in your mind.
Well,
But
yeah, it basically
yeah,
is.
it actually does because it helps. I don't know about you, but it helps me focus more on what I'm doing. It helps me being even more productive than I try to be and more efficient. It gives me that boost of energy to when I teach, really focus on my students, and when I scan, really focus on my flow of the day with the patients. What about you? What do you think?
Well, yeah, when we did talk about it in our last few episodes before, but
Yeah.
now that I've, seen a difference when I used it and when I didn't use it, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, it's like night and day. And I really do love this product. It makes me feel super productive,
Mhm.
and I could tell that I'm not as annoyed by certain things, and I'm just very focused. I'm not as tired. It's got a little bit of its own natural caffeine in it. And the ingredients in it is truly really great for you. There's like ashwagandha,
You
vitamins.
right.
Yeah, there's like all these good things, and it's made with matcha. So, it's a cute little green bottle, and it's perfect to take whenever you feel like you need to focus and to have less stress. And that's what we're trying to do this year in 2024. So, if you guys are interested, we do have a discount code, and there's this huge thing that they're doing right now in the month of January. So it's coming up to an end here shortly, so you don't want to miss out on it. But if you go to their website, www.magicmind.com/Jan, Jan, Sono, Sono. So magicmind.com/Jan Sono, you can subscribe and get basically 1 month free with our code SONO20, you can even get more discount on top of that. And it's basically like 75% off or something like that. Oh my gosh, the
So
way I
it's a 3 month subscription, right? So
yeah, you'll have it every 3 months basically.
mhm.
But the way that I would run to do this if I was a student, I really would.
It's a very beneficial for, for you and for those of you who's like wanting to cut off caffeine too, it's a good alternative for it.
Yeah. It's really good. It doesn't taste bad at all. I could take it with coffee or without coffee.
Mhm.
You could put it in like a sparkling water and make it a
Or
fizzy drink.
take it as a shot like I do.
If you just want your daily shot,
Yeah,
just
just go done with it.
I like to sip, she likes
Yeah.
to shoot it up. But I mean, basically, it'll help you focus. It's going to give you energy and you
Mhm.
won't feel tired. You'll be less stressed. And I really like the way that it makes me feel. So you guys should go ahead and try it out. Even go to, they have them in Sprouts now and you can just try it, a sample. And if you really like it, just order them more with our discount. But I definitely feel like being a sonographer, yes, you get good pay,
Mhm.
but it comes with a cost. It comes with hard schooling, it comes with difficult days and
It
stress.
comes with your mental health.
But if you like what you do, it's going to be so much better for you. If you like doing it, if you like helping others, if you like being independent, it's a great career field. And look at all of the possibilities you have. You have the possibility to make up to $148,000 if you're in it for the long run. Like Lynn and I are, hopefully. It's a good career to be in.
It is. Despite all of like the stress and, the not so positive things we say about this profession, like again, back to the two podcasts ago, of like we do love ultrasound and we do love what we do. And at the end of the day, it is very rewarding to be with patients and being able to help them. So, pay is one part of it, but there's also that component of whether, you love it, you want to do it or not. Otherwise, pay is one thing, but if you're not going to love it, then it'll be tough.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could see the difference, right? When
Right.
someone loves what they do versus they're just
Mm-hmm.
in it for the money. And I think that the money comes when you work hard and it's something that you want to do. And
Right.
you wake up every day to your job and you're like, wow, I'm so blessed to be able to help others and make good
Mhm.
money from it and provide for my family. Like you
Right.
said, students want to do this job because they want to make the money.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is one part of it. But there's so much more to it than just the money. And yeah, just know that you can make some good money in this field, no matter which route you go, cardiac, general, or vascular.
Exactly.
So we will dive more into other things in future episodes because, like Lynn said, we can go on tangents and talk a lot.
Definitely. That's the reason why we created a podcast because we can talk about ultrasound all day, every day.
Yeah, so let us know what other things you guys want us to talk about. I do know that, working as a sonographer, there's so much you can talk about. There's so many people you can follow on social media. We are just a little piece in that huge community. So follow us on Instagram, follow us wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And just know we're here for you guys on your road to clinicals, in between study sessions, and on your lunch breaks at work. Just know we're here for you guys.
Yes. And if you haven't already, rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, maybe, or any other platforms that you listen on. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you like this episode. If you have any questions regarding this episode, let us know, comment below, and maybe we can create a follow-up episode.
Yeah, about all the money that you guys make out there. All right,
Yes.
guys, have a good week.
Hi, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for connecting through sounds with us. We appreciate you and can't wait to connect with you again next time.